Hello, I'm going to show you some of the details from a project I've made, which is a collaboration between That's Crafty and the Relics and Artifacts people. These were the items I was sent from the Relics and Artifacts to use: a pack of their jewels, some of their gold Dresden trim, and 2 packs of their resin artifacts. These are the crosses and the girl with the heart and the wings. I'm going to be using these in conjunction with a couple of the uprights from That's Crafty. I've used 2 of these shaped uprights, and I have actually cut the bottom off both of them because I'm going to be making an altered book and I wanted to use these for the covers. I've cut them off so they tag now exactly fits on the book from top to bottom, and I'm going to be using these for the front cover and the back cover. I will be cutting round the book to shape, so I will have a shaped book to fit the 2 tags, and once that's all done I will be doing a recess in the middle to put some of the relics in, and I'll be using some of them to decorate the front cover as well. I have glued one of the cut off tag shapes to the front of my book, and I've made sure that the edge of it is butted right up to the spine, so when you run your finger up it you've got a smooth edge there, there's no ridge at all. I've put new blades in my craft knives. I don't know which size I want, so I'll put blades in both of them. I might want a small one for the top. And what I'm going to do now is push down very firmly on this, get quite a long bit of my blade. These knives are best for cutting books because as you get deeper into the book you need a longer blade, and you can just slide it out to be longer. So I'm going to push it down and just use the tag as a guide, keeping the blade straight. I'm going to just cut through the book, and I'll carry on doing this until I've got all the way through the book, and then I will go around the top. It will take a little while to cut through it because it's a dense book and you can't put too much pressure on the blade because it will snap, so just realise you're just going to cut a little few pages at a time and then go back over it and over it and over it until you have come right out the other side. I've now cut my book to shape using the MDF tags as a template. I've also cut a recess inside my book and a smaller one at the top. I've decided what I'm going to be using in my book are the large heart in here, and I have a small cross somewhere that I've temporarily lost. Oh, here it is. And this small cross will be going up there. There'll obviously be other things happening on the page, but these are the elements I'm going to be using inside. I've cut the recess deep enough so the book can close over those elements. On the outside I'm going to put this up at the top. I'm going to use this pair of wings on the front. I'm going to angle the little doll over them, and this cross I'm going to use on the spine. To start I've given the outside of the book, including the sides and the cut top, a coat of gesso. I haven't done anything at all yet to the inside because apart from the elements I haven't really decided what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to start by working on the front cover. I'm going to build up a little bit of collage on it, just using some of the discarded bits from the middle of the book where I cut the recess out. going to use multi-medium to glue them down. Just a few bits and pieces. Nothing much, because I haven't really thought a great deal yet about what's going to be happening with this cover. I know I'm going to be doing a bit of stenciling and then sticking all those other bits on, gessoing over the top, but a lot of this might end up being hidden, so I'll be doing the same type of thing on the back and the spine. I'm now going to add a bit of washi tape. I think I fancy the butterflies. I do like the feathered edge you get when you tear washi. Smooth out that lump. I've got a couple of bits of overhang on the edge. Oops. Just trim them off. It's all collage I'm going to do on the front. Leave that to dry. I'm just going to build up a bit of detail on the front of my book now. I'm going to use a large text stamp just to go all over it. I'll actually stamp this like that so I get it straight. I don't know who made this stamp. It's a very old stamp. It's one I've had years. It's just quite a nice size text. It's probably discontinued by now. As you can see, it's not giving total coverage because I'm not inking the stamp pad very well. It's just giving a bit of interest over the collaged background. I've carried on the stamping to my spine and to the back of my book. They're all now dry. I'm going to add a little bit of texture. I'm going to use grunge paste because it's nice and quick drying. Give it a good stir. I've got this chicken wire stencil. It's from the Dinky range by That's Crafty. It's number 2 in their series. I'm just going to randomly scrape this through over bits of the stencil, not using the whole thing because I don't want it to look too uniform. It's just so when I use paints later, it will give a bit of texture in places for the paint to grab. Just scrape it off the edges. On the sides where I've lost a detail on the MDF pieces. I'm also going to do a little bit of this down the spine. know where I want my pieces to go, so I'm going to push them down and wiggle them so I don't have fat lumps of texture paste underneath, so they don't sit down properly. I should just stick these down. I'm going to use a little bit of sponge paste to stick them. Tiny bit on the back. Only thing I'm not going to stick down is my girl at the moment. I'll leave her off, and I'm now going to leave that to dry. What I'm going to do now is add some basic colour, just a quick layer of it to the front of my book. I'm going to very lightly sprinkle on some Infusion's Rustic Heart. All the way over it. Just tap it, just to move it around a little bit. And all I've got in here are some basic walnut crystals, which I've diluted really, really thinly. And instead of spraying this with water, I'm going to spray it with this. Just going to hold it at a distance just to mist it. And that'll activate the paper art. See, that brown's gone a little bit too dense, so I'm just going to spray it with some water as well, just to dilute it. I'm going to dry that with my heat gun. Pull it around a little bit first. Once my coat of sealant was dry, I just rubbed a little bit of the Art Alchemy blue gold paint over it with my finger, and I don't know if the camera's picking this up very well, but that's just given it a little bit of a shiny patina finish over the rusty background that I did. I've also glued on some of the German scrap in a few places on the front. And now I'm just going to go in with some odd paints and bits and pieces just to build up a little bit more colour on it before I finish off the front with a bit of stenciling. I'll probably do a bit more work on these as well, but I haven't totally decided what to do with them yet. Again, I will probably just play around with some paints and possibly some waxes just to give them a little bit of pop off the book. And then I'll be moving on to the middle and the embellishments. This will go in here. I'm not going to do much to this bit that I've got the text page on, because I quite like that. I will probably just do a bit of colouring on this and perhaps just add a bit of a stencil. I was thinking something of maybe using that type of stencil on it and a quote in the middle there, but I haven't totally decided yet. And when I've done it, I will show you the finished inside and talk you through what I did. I've added a bit of colour and detail to the front using my metallic accents. Are they in picture? Yes, they are. My metallic accents just applied with a paintbrush, and then I wanted a bit more of a pop of red around the edges of the wings, and I've just done that with a primary magenta from the Decor Media range. I've also added a bit of colour to my little doll which will just stick on the front. I'm now going in with a few colours of Treasure Gold, just to again add a little bit of highlights to the wings. I'm just rubbing it around the bits where the texture paste went to bump them off the cover a little bit. Just aging up the little doll. And all I'm going to do to finish off my page is add a little bit of stenciling in black, using my still favourite stencil. I can't remember whose one is by, I've had it so long. Just add a little bit of detail. Corners. Gently brush in some paint on the edges of the cover as well. A bit of black just round the edges of the accents, just to blend the whole thing in. I've wrapped my little doll in just a coil of rusty wire, and I'm going to stick her onto the front of the wings when I find my glue. I'm now doing the inside of the book. As I said previously, I'm not going to do a great deal on the book page side, so I've just applied a watered down coat of gesso to it, and I've added a bit of stenciling with gold paint around the round recess that I'd previously cut. Inside the recess I've glued a length of the smaller turquoise gemmed chain that I showed at the start of the video, and in the middle of this I'm going to put my small cross. I've just painted this gold with Decor Media paint and then given it a bit of a rub over with Treasure Gold just to give it a bit of a bling. I'll give it a gentle buff with a cloth. and a little spot of glossy accents. In the middle, and just push it down. And that'll glue there. I've been doing a bit of work on the heart that I'm going to put in there. The cross, which is going to go on top of the heart, I've coloured gold in the same way, added a little bit of gold, a little bit of black paint around the edge, and the quote, "Abominate," across the middle of it. And this is the large heart that I've started on. I've just painted it with red Decor Media paint. I've done a bit of black stamping on it, added a couple of bits of paper, some of the gold papery stuff that I got, the German scrap, couldn't think what was called there, and then using grunge paste and stencil, I've just added a little bit of texture to it. Now I'm going to just build up a bit of colour on it. I'm going to use some turquoise paint and the metallic media paint. No, actually I'm not. I'm going to use a little Amsterdam acrylic, which is more translucent and a bit thicker. I'm just going to pick them up with my paintbrush and work them over the whole heart first of all. I wanted it translucent because I want to just colour the whole thing, to tone down the red a little bit and to blend it all together before I do much else with it. Just make sure that's dry. Now I'm just going to use the turquoise paint and very, very gently put a little bit on with the brush and then just blend it over with my finger so it hits the high spots of the grunge paste. Go around the edge where the German scrap is. Over the gold of the German scrap, it goes quite a nice patina in colour. Add it around the heart shape. Pardon me, keep coughing. I've just got a real sore throat and it's not going away. There's hardly any colour left on my brush now, but it's just enough to work it all into the middle and add a little bit of shading. Put that across the middle of it like that. Hide that horrible bit where my paint fell off. I just want something to brighten it up, so I'm going to go in with some treasure gold on my finger and very, very gently, just so I literally hit the high spots on the grunge paste. And on the German scrap. going to stick that to the front. Use glossy accents to stick it to the front. More of an instant grab. She says as it slides off. Kind of get a bit of the rusty wire I wrapped around my doll earlier. Bring the book back, put that over there. I've stretched it bigger than the back, so when I put it in there, it'll pin and hold itself in position, and then my heart will just go on top of it like that. I'm going to leave it over there to dry a little bit for now. I've stuck a bit of collage on this earlier with some matte medium, and now I'm just going to add in a little bit of washi tape. I'll go for the music one. Sticking to me though. I've got so much glue on my hands. We can just go across that. Let's use up all little bits I've got left. Maybe not that bit. That looks a bit horrible. I'm going to use my brush again, just to dry brush some paint on. I'm actually going to add a little bit of tinting base in there. Go for some lighter turquoise. Some red oxide. Look quite nice with that turquoise. Over into the gaps. I'll just take take a couple of stencils. I'll use the chicken wire stencil I used earlier. Go just to bring all the colours together. Now a little bit of turquoise. All I'm going to do initially for the background on there, I'm going to make sure that's nice and dry. I want to do this large bleeding heart there. What I'm going to do is the heart in red to start with. Around the edge in the gold. Go over it again to make sure I've got good coverage. I might just leave that because I've got a quote I want to use in there. Glue that in there. Just make sure it still shuts. Little glossy accents on the back. Place that in there. I'm now going to sort out my quote for in there And I did take my doll off the front because she hadn't dried properly and I wanted to work on the inside. So I'm going to put my quote in there, and then I'm going to glue my quote and my other few bits on the front and on the spine. And then I'm going to call it finished, I think. I've now added all the elements to the front of my book. I've decided I wanted something else on the front, so I've just wrapped a piece of rusty wire into a circle and glued it behind the figure with the wings, and added a few of the large jaws, and I've cut them up. I was going to put 5 on because I did cut 5 off, but now I've put 3 on. I think 3 look enough, so I'm not going to use those 2. I've also added the cross to the spine that I did. And I was now going to stamp my image directly inside, but being the ultra bright person that I am, my book doesn't open properly anymore because the cross on the spine stops it. So I'm going to have to stamp my quote onto a piece of paper, and I'm going to put a bit of it there and the rest of it underneath. So I'll stand my book out of the way and I'll stamp quote onto a piece of paper. It's got a bit smudgy, hasn't it? Let's try it again. Maybe it's just smudgy because it's very old, this. It's a little bit better. Not quite as smudgy. I'm going to chop that up anyway and put the word soul in the middle of the heart and the immortality of being underneath. Just darken that down a little bit with some distress ink. So it looks a bit less new and shiny now. A little bit with my ink pad. Oops. So that just very carefully on my book that doesn't go flat. What is with me and glue today? It's just my day for the glue, I think. Soul. Immortality of being. This is one of my own quotes that I did years ago. Same with the one on the front. Something inside me remembers and will not forget. I did a set of about 5 or 6 of them. And these 2 are my favourites and I still use them a lot. So there it is, finished. I did have some thoughts in my head when I was making this book, so if you want to see what they were, pop over to my blog and I will have done a little write-up about it, and my blog can be found in the comments section of this video. Thank you for watching.